Hello, and welcome to the final installment of the making of Second Chance Heroes, at least in terms of the Hobo Colony. I am your host, Eli Platt, and right now I'm going to be taking you through Hall of the Hobo King, Last Stop, Part 2. Alright, so I actually mentioned this level earlier. I don't know if you saw the video, or maybe you don't remember, but this level has a couple of different little Easter eggs in it, and one of the ones that I want to start with, as soon as I hide my invisible scene objects, making them actually invisible, is the part of the level that I cut out of 1-2-1-2, or the second level of the Hobo Colony, Mad Mulligan's Beloved Part 2. And that area is highlighted actually here. So about a third of this level was actually tacked onto the end of that other level. So you can see what I mean by back when I said that level was much longer than it was needed to be. Because when we were building that, we were building 30-minute dungeons, and then we cut our dungeon time way down. Alright, so this level is unique in that it features a split beginning. So you start out separately from your teammates. If you've got 4 players or 3 players or 2 players, you're going to be on different paths. And so those paths begin here in this split safe room. The first player and third player start up here. The second and fourth player start down here. You progress across these bridges, and like I said, these bridges and these elevation changes match up with the end of 1-2-4-2. I'm sorry, I'll leave the numbers out of it. That's how we refer to them around the office, but they are from the end of the Mad Mulligan's Part 2, and so like this is literally chopped out of that level, even though they're no longer in sequential order. So you come across this bottom bridge or this top bridge to this middle island. This middle island once featured a staircase in this part that I've highlighted here, where you could cross over. That was when it was still part of the Mad Mulligan's Beloved level. In this level we wanted to keep the players separate, so you've got this lower shelf and this upper shelf. Also, these walls here that are covered in weapons was once an overhang, kind of like this area down here. Alright, one of the things I want to point out too is that you have treasury, armory, barracks, and I don't know why I can't remember the fourth one. Treasury, armory, barracks, and hospital stuff, the alcohol. And the 4 bridges that lead up to the very final boss battle are themed in that manner. So these lower bridges here are armory themed, with the X's here with the sword and the axe, and with the walls down here of all of the shields and weaponry. And then you come out here and there's a cannon and cannonballs and weapons laying all along the ground here, and this upper part is themed according to the beer. And so you've got all the pipes and all of the casks and the leaky pipes and all that kind of fun stuff, and some brewing equipment back here and a bar. Then you come across this bridge where again you see the big barrel bridges like you see in the Hobo beer level, and you've got all of this piping and beer casks out here, and one of the balloon cart trains as well. Once you come up to here, you've got a hybrid of all 4 styles. You've got the weapons in this corner, you've got the beer in this corner, and then alluding to the next section, you've got the mushrooms in this corner and a hobo house for the barracks in this corner. In this area, you arrive in 2 different groups in the top and bottom, and whichever side progresses first leaps down to help the other side. So if you come up top, you fight a small encounter, you break into this area, you leap down, and you can now assist the other team. If the bottom team wins, they jump up and they can assist you. And then the middle part opens, and depending on which team won, you either fight a trash can zombie if the top part wins, so that's what most of you are familiar with. Or if the bottom part wins, which is probably the less likely scenario, you get an amazing head. Also, if the top part wins, you progress through the top into the next section. If the bottom part wins, you progress through the bottom. So down here, the Hobo Barracks themed part of this level is probably the rarest section of the game for a player to traverse through. Now, this area up here this encounter up here, I'm sorry. This encounter up here was one of the things that I went in and heavily re-scripted. This level took many, many, many revisions to get working right, to balance out how fast the teams can get through. It was scripted by Dana, and then by Rolly, and then by Alex, and then by Rolly, and then by me, and then by Dana some more, and then etc., etc. And so this level has probably got the most complicated scripting in it. Either way, progressing further through the level, you can come down here into the rare section, the Hobo barracks, and also here below this, there's another theme going on. You're leaving the Hobo King, so you can see the brick stairs leading down from the Hobo King. Alright, and as you're going over this section, there's this whole little village built underneath. And so this is kind of like you're leaving the Hobo colony. You've gotten through the castle in the center of the kingdom, and now you're headed out through the city area, and then it gets more sparse, and now you're sort of out past into the industrial section where you've got all the mining equipment, and now you've headed out, and now you've sort of got these cliffs, which is the last remnants of the houses, but also themed on the barracks, of course, which is why there's maybe more houses there than there needs to be. And you've also made this big transition after that fight where there's lava and fire everywhere. And so this is like no longer an active part of the kingdom. It's started to disintegrate. And so you head down here, down this steep bridge, across. There's this huge scaffolding around this rock. Like at one time, maybe they were carving it into a giant statue or something and abandoned it when the area filled with lava. And then you come up to this final staircase where you're finally reunited for the final push. If you come across the top, it's all pretty much a straight shot. You're up here on the cliffs. You got these huge pillars sticking out. Mushrooms everywhere and slime puddles. I don't have the decals turned off, but there's slime and all kinds of mushroomy spore stuff on the ground. And then again, you're finally united. Now you do get an opportunity here to backtrack a little bit, whichever way you came, so you do get to see a bit of the barracks. And if you're really wanting to see it and you're only going to ever play single player, you can get into this room and you can sort of look down here and see. And then on the other side, you can blow up this barricade and you can come down and you can see. And so really the only part that you wouldn't get to see is probably down here, these two huts. If you were only ever going to play single player. Like in the event that we were to shut down the servers or something and whatnot. Although I'm sure there's some clever people out there who could figure out how to open the doors and pull the scripting levers anyway to allow access to the full level. And so again here I'm just going to do, before I get to the final boss, a slight sideways pan of the level where you can see all the elevation changes. Down here you got the lower path, up here you've got the upper path, you've got, and then the upper path lines up with the lower part of this. Actually not quite the same, but close enough, just like a meter in there. And then you've got the lower path up here and the upper path above it. You can see that big suspension bridge and then the island here. So you got this lower path between all these big rocks and this upper path. And a lot of these rocks were actually not meant to do this. I just wedged rock pieces together until I got these unique shapes and things, and then all these pillars I wedged in and used these walls here to brace the bottoms of them. And just really kind of try to bring this together out of miscellaneous pieces rather than requesting custom pieces to do this kind of level. And these are kind of the beer cupcakes, as we like to call them, that were used to make the Hobo Islands. And so, again, just doing the side pan of the level, you can see all the island and then the other bridges and the city down below them. And then here is built in just a little ramp down there to see, like, oh, if you were really a hobo, before this had all kind of sort of caved in over here, this might be how you get down there. Another thing you might notice is that there's a bunch of railroad tracks. There's one here, and then there's another one here, and then there's another one. Oh, I've been disconnected from the server. I'm going to stop the video here, and I will paste in the end for you. Alright, welcome back. Now that I've reconnected myself to the server, I believe I was talking about railroad tracks. And so we've got railroad tracks here that come through, and railroad tracks here that come through for the subway. And then there was once upon a time another one here But this level was actually even longer at one point. And so there was actually another set of 2 bridges, and they were cut out, because this level is probably the largest level in the game. I can't even zoom out far enough to see it all at once, unless I look at it end on. And one of the things that we really actually thought we were going to be able to do was, when we designed this level, the final boss, we needed a boss for the Hobo section, and we actually hadn't thought of one. We were like, well, what are we going to do, what are we going to do? And so we had a meeting, we all kind of talked about it, and nothing really came out of it at first, and so we were all, sent back, and anyone has an idea for this boss, let us know. And so I came up with the idea, well, if it's a boss and it's in the Hobo colony, it should be something that hobos fear. And what do hobos fear more than the train conductor? Because, you always got hobos jumping on the trains and things, and getting thrown off of trains and whatnot. But the thing is that it's a crazy, over-the-top, zombie, hobo craziness adventure. And so just a regular train conductor wasn't quite taking it far enough. I mean, you've already fought a gigantic flaming teddy bear of death in the mall. So I said, well, what if it was a train conductor in a gigantic, steam-powered train suit? And they were like, oh, that'd be really cool. And then we were like, well, the Hobo colony, it's all kind of fantasy. And so we sort of just sat together and we settled on Train Dragon. And we were going to have him kind of do, not flybys, but zip by in this open cavity here and just come through with fire and flaming and whatnot. And same here, when you get across these bridges, it would come out of this tunnel here and fly out over the edge and dive down into the depths of the Hobo colony. And then again, once you got into the fiery section, it was going to go under the bridges you're walking across and kind of do this, drive by a second time or a third time at that point. And we didn't get to do that, and it's one of the things that that we sort of wish we did, but we didn't. And but the thing is that the level is just a ton of fun. It's awesome to play. It looks great. I don't think anybody is really thinks that the level is that much worse off. I mean, it would have been nice. It would have been cool, but this level is just the pinnacle, the collective of everything that there is in the Hobo colony. And that is what it needs to be, and that's what it is, and that's I think brings it all together. So now that I'll cover the final part. Originally, this thing was way down low, and the final boss was at ground level, but we couldn't make the lava look that good, and so we decided instead to put it up on top of a gigantic volcano that has emerged from the Hobo depths. And so you come up on this cable car to this volcano here, and there you can see the train dragon in his idle state. He's got spikes all along his back, and they're all coal cars and smokestacks, and his wheels have come unhinged and from the boiler, and they're his arms, and his face is kind of his teeth are like the cow catcher, and his eyes are like the end of the boiler there. It's kind of hard to see. It's really great in game. I recommend you try it out. It's one of the funnest bosses, right after the Johnny Hollow Legs, and so this, I think, is one of the best chapters in the game, and it's got a really fitting ending for being very exciting and having these 2 unique bosses. Alright, well that about wraps things up for this level here. Next will be, this is the end of this series of videos, but of course there's yet another chapter in the game, the bunker. That'll be the next series of videos, and then after that I'll do the final series that has kind of all these secrets and things, all these levels. There's about 6 levels that got cut from the game. They'll all be in there, 6 or 7 levels. I'll try to put together some concept art and things. I'll go over the editor and how it works. I might even show you a little bit of scripting. And some of those levels actually were scripted, so we'll have gameplay footage of levels that haven't ever been seen before. So that'll be fun, and hopefully I'll see you guys there. Alright, see you later.